Let me tell you a fun fact. Within the last 2 centuries, more than 90% of the world's millionaires have been created by investing in real estate. But if done incorrectly, without the right knowledge, required skills, or partners, it can also create a ton of problems and a lot of sleepless nights. You feel like sometimes there are way too many gurus out there trying to sell you on a weekend course or just too much noise to cut right to the facts? Yup, we did too, and this is why we started this podcast. Our goal is to provide real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts with all of the most recent knowledge, secrets, tips, tricks, and tactics so that you can grow your own portfolios, increase your returns, net worth, and most importantly, create generational wealth for you and your loved ones. Remember, this is your real estate career. Information is your sword and shield, so eat hearty, prepare for battle, and grind your way to victory. My name is Tejas Gosai. I'm joined by my partner, Jeremy Moyer, and we welcome you to the Real Estate Investor MBA podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite real estate podcast. I'm Tejas Gosai. This is my partner, Jeremy Moyer.
Hey.
And every week we like to start off with a big thank you. We're all over the internet, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. We love you all. Check out our website, REIMBA. We're putting some inventory on there. Obviously, our previous podcast, and I think we have 65 now.
Yeah, we're getting up there, man. Yep.
It's awesome. This guest is amazing today. Nails it on like start to finish, like playbook, how you should do things if you know nothing or even if you know a lot in real estate or have done a bunch of transactions. Very cool guy.
Yeah, man. We had Justin Wawrzyniak on today. So Justin began his career as a highly recruited engineer. And after only 2 short years in corporate America, Justin left his secure 9-to-5 in pursuit of financial freedom. That's when the Cat's-Low Cowboy was born. At the age of just 26, Justin became a full-time multifamily real estate investor and entrepreneur. To date, he has closed on over 25, representing $6.5 million in assets. He started his own investment company and developed a revolutionary direct-to-seller software system. Justin's very active on social media, logging his journey to 300 units by 30 years of age. He's currently 27 years old and under contract with his 59 units in total in just the last 1.5 years. Tapes, what do you think? I mean, it was, like you said, he provides a lot of detail on some of the topics that we cover, and he's such a great guy. I mean, what do you think?
Awesome, dude. Just love it. Younger, but also no one's really that open about how people do things and get things done and the data and the websites. He shares a lot of that info. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you guys are enjoying.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey guys, we're here with Justin Wawrzyniak, and I rarely get to do an intro like this. We have cowboys and Indians here today, specifically the cash flow cowboy. I just want to start with you are a little bit younger than me. You're in your late 20s. I'm in my 40s now. Jeremy, I think you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
So I'm already a huge fan of everything you're doing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I just got lucky and started a little earlier. That's it.
There you go. But you've been really successful. Something that your mantra is like, you can get into it. You don't need a bunch of money. As long as you have some sweat in it, you can make it. And you have a great story. Brag about yourself real quick.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think in real estate, if you can hustle, if you can get out there and just take action, then it doesn't matter if you're 20s or 40s or 70s, you can have success. And so I got very lucky. I went into engineering originally. That was like my background. I was a top engineer. I thought I was going to go take on the W-2 corporate America world as this high performing engineer. And I got into it. And what I did was I looked at who was having success as an engineer and what it took to be the top engineer. And I was like, I don't want to put in all that work for that little reward. So then I got lucky. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I started getting, going on Bigger Pocket, all these like little things that started to add up to the point where I felt confident that I wanted to do this crazy career change. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go into real estate and become a full-time real estate investor and entrepreneur. And that's what I did. And so at 27 years old, I've been doing this for about 2 years since I joined a mastermind, a couple masterminds, and actually took action of buying multifamily assets. And, now we're sitting here 4 apartment buildings deep, about to have a 5th one. So really excited turnaround of what's happened in the last couple of years.
Just before I hand it over to Jeremy, brag about the numbers and, people want to hear how big things are. Can you share that?
Of course. And so when I was an engineer, I did a house hack. For everyone that's trying to get started, a house hack is a great way to do it. And I did just a 2-unit property. I was making about $1,000 a month cash flow if you consider I was living for free. Did that for 2 years before I sold it. The market was hot and I made $76,000 profit on the sale. So if you look at that, that was $100,000 in 2 years. And that was the nest egg that I kind of catapulted me out of the W-2 and into real estate full time. And so that was like deal one. I was like, all right, I kind of like this real estate stuff. And so last year we bought our first apartment building, 10 units in Indiana. And this is going to blow a lot of people's mind. We bought them for $35,000 a unit. So very, very cheap in a decent part of town. And it was a 1995 build. So it was a young asset as well. So we were really excited about this. We'll probably be able to pull out on our refi later this year, 100% of our initial investment, which is, velocity of money. We'll start recycling that. And now 10 units to a lot of people is like, that's nothing. But if you're just getting started, that could be a lot to you. But for me, that 10 units represented 10 more investment units than my mom, my dad, my brother, sister, aunts, uncles, grandparents. No one in the family had done that. And so it was truly generational wealth, family altering type asset. And so that's like, I got really excited. The first year I was just learning. And then this year we've already bought a 6-unit Airbnb conversion project and 2 other 8 units. And then I've wholesaled an 8-unit as well. And we're under contract to buy a 27-unit property. So a lot of stuff. We're slowly growing. I'm trying to get some of those bigger multifamily assets just because the more units you have, the more income
That's tremendous, man. Bravo. That's awesome. So investing with little to no capital, we were talking offline about this topic and I just saw you kind of light up with, I'm sure, some stories and some helpful tips that you can provide our listeners. So I kind of like to just dive right into that. How do you go about doing that? Do you have any tips and tricks or whatnot that you can share?
Yeah. So like I said, I made that $100,000 on my property. I left engineering. I went into real estate and that $100,000 slowly disappeared, right? As soon as I started finding properties, and I started investing my own money into it, I got to a point where I was like, I don't think I can buy any more properties because I don't have any money left, right? And so what I realized through joining different masterminds and surrounding myself with people that are out in the field doing this day to day is that the value I can provide as a young hustler is the deal. The deal itself is worth something to people who have, maybe they are doctors or lawyers working 9 to 5s that they don't have any time to go hit the pavement and try to find a good deal. So what I've been doing to buy apartment buildings with little to no capital of my own is I find the deal and then I get equity in the property for that deal. So then I partner up with, essentially people that have money and they're happy because they now have something to invest in. And I'm happy because now I can buy the deal because I needed their money to do it. And so we just bought an 8-unit complex in downtown Indianapolis. And so because we had it at such a discount to buy it, I'm able to get 18% of the equity in this property. And I was paid an acquisition fee and brought no money into it. So I essentially walked away with 18% of a deal and none of my own money into it and a little bit on top just for, thank you for finding the deal acquisition. So it's possible to do this. And I would say the best way is to focus on finding the deals because that's, it's who has the money and who has the deal. Those are the 2 big things in real estate.
Yeah, it's great to have you on because you're like given the playbook, rich dad, poor dad, bigger pockets online, looking at inventory, going to a mastermind, finding these folks, and then bringing the deal, right? That's perfect. Let's talk about that stuff. How do you find a deal? What markets are you looking at? You know, people are afraid right now. They don't know what's going on. You're not, you're grinning ear to ear, kicking button. And these people trust you, right? So now you're building a relationship and they're like, oh, he's our guy. Long-winded. Tell us what you're doing about that.
Yeah, as far as like the market and are we buying? Heck yes, we're buying. We will always be buying regardless of the market cycle. And what I actually like to do is, am I the smartest guy in real estate? No way. But by being a part of different mastermind networks and meetups and stuff, I can actually get connected with those people that are the geniuses within the industry. And so what I do is if they're buying, I'm buying, right? It's a very simple concept. And as soon as they give me the, hey, things are a little rough out there, you should probably stack capital and wait for a little blood in the water. That's what I'll do. So because they're buying, we're buying. And then as far as finding deals, we love to go off market to find deals. I've built a full business in the Midwest. I am the cash flow cowboy. So that's Midwest has a ton of cash flow. So we love that. We love that so much. And so I'm in Indiana and Michigan specifically, with our main focus is Indiana. And if you want to hone it down to a market, Indianapolis, Indiana, we love so much. That's where I actually was an engineer at. So I got to learn the area very well. And the price per unit versus the rents that you can get are just, they're fantastic, right? So that's why there's a ton of cash flow there. And for off-market deals, it really is like the harder you hustle, the more you'll make. So it took us a little bit to get where we're at, right? It's been a 6 to 8 month process, but now it's a consistent deal flow. And that's why these equity partners are so important for me, because as I find more and more deals, we need more and more capital to close them.
That's tremendous. Without like giving any proprietary information away on, your direct to seller process, right? Can you just kind of break it down on a high level of how coming from an engineer background, I'm sure that's helped a lot with the process thinking, right? But can you kind of unpack that a little bit for our listeners that maybe aren't as astute to that process thinking and what you did to build that so, it's replicatable and consistent?
Yes. Being an engineer, I definitely had those problem solving skills and process skills necessary to take on real estate. But as far as direct to seller, it's really broken down into 3 components. One is, well, you need a list of properties to start targeting, right? You got to make sure it's a good list. And there's so many different sources that you can find lists from. You can actually go directly to the counties themselves, right? If you think about it, they are taxing all these properties. So they know exactly what multifamilies are in their area, how many units they are, when they were built, right? So it's a little bit harder. It takes a little bit longer to do that. But if you're ready for a challenge, you get a really good list doing it that way. Other than that, there's CoStar for larger properties. There's ListSource for Economy, the MLS. Like there's so many different ways to properties. That's number one. You have to have a list and you have to have some properties to target. And number 2 is probably the most important. And it helps if you have a little bit of tech savviness to you, but a CRM, right? You want a CRM, which is pretty much a sales tool of just keeping on top of people, right? You plug the leads in and every time you call them, you're leaving notes. And then so when you follow up with them in a month or 2 months or 3 months, you just pick right back up where you left off. And that is where that's been our bread and butter, because we focus on relationships, because real estate is a relationship-based business. And whether that's with other investors or whether that's with sellers and property owners, that's what we focus on. So if we called them and they can't talk today because they're on their way to hockey practice with their son, well, we jot down that they were at hockey practice with their son. So when we call them back next week, we ask them, how was hockey practice? How'd he do? Is he ready for the season? Stuff like that, which you might think it's nothing, right? But it goes a long way. It makes it seem like we actually care about them, which we do, because, they have something that we want that's going to better our families and better our portfolios. And so we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to make them trust us enough that, we're not just some random guy trying to steal away their apartment building. We're here to try to solve their problems and ultimately buy their property at a fair price.
It's awesome you're sharing all the secrets. So those specific markets that you're in, you're targeting like city blocks. You're that specific, and certain zip codes and territories. And are you door knocking or doing mailers?
I actually, one of my very first social media videos was actually me going and door knocking. And that was also the last door knocking endeavor of mine. It is effective, but it is not efficient sometimes, especially if you think about it, if I want to go after multifamily assets that I won't find, like the owners aren't going to be at their buildings, right? It'll definitely work for smaller assets, definitely single family and stuff like that. I actually highly recommend it if you're looking to do fix and flips, off market stuff in the single family space. But when it comes to multifamily, it actually gets a little bit harder because it is very much you're trying to find these owners, and they could be in different states. They could be, a lot of people, and we have a lot of California investors that I partner with, and they're investing in the Midwest. So it's like their names are going to pop up on the Midwest apartments, but you got to find their information over in another state. So it is difficult. We don't door knock necessarily. We do a ton of cold calling, and we actually pair it with cold text messaging or warm text messaging, however you want to call it, where we'll call them. If they don't answer, we'll leave a voicemail, and then we'll send them a text message saying, "Hey, we left a voicemail. We're so-and-so. We're investors in the area as well. We'd love to see if there's any synergies. Talk about your property," right? Just relationship building verbiage. And then now we're starting to integrate actually email marketing as well. So that's like a cool way to get a hold of people, because I don't know about you. I don't answer my call. Like when someone calls me and I don't know the number, I don't answer.
Yep.
And when they text me, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll look at it or whatnot. But if there's an email in my inbox, I'm looking at it every single freaking time. So there's just different ways to approach it. And, if you're feeling even crazier, you can start going on LinkedIn and Facebook and maybe Instagram or something and reach out to these owners through those platforms as well. It's really the amount of hustle you want to have will equal a positive output. So kudos to you if you want to just take all those different avenues and just pound the pavements and try to find some off-market deals.
No, that makes tremendous sense. I've been talking with a lot of investors that do similar direct-to-seller techniques in different markets, right? And there's a lot of talk about competition, right? And more and more people are doing similar techniques and whatnot. Are you seeing that in your market? And then if you are, how are those conversations with the sellers, the owners of the building? I'm sure the relationship building, it comes key to differentiating yourself from other potential buyers, but curious to hear your perspective on that.
You said it exactly. The relationship building is what's going to set you apart. But if you want to take a step back too, it's how do you eliminate competition in your market? Well, you join forces with them. Mm-hmm. And so that's essentially what we've done. There's been multiple people in the market, and instead of us competing against each other for the same properties, it's like, why don't we just link up and partner up on this stuff? So we've done that on quite a few items. And that's why, we're growing out our business is we can do this together. And instead of both of us presenting an offer and competing against each other with a seller, we can present one offer that's going to be lower, and we can both reap the benefits, right? So we've done that. We've tried to combine efforts, and, you find other partners doing what you're doing by going to meetups, local meetups and stuff like that. But the relationship ultimately will be the deciding factor of why anyone wants to work with you versus work with someone else. And so just a fun story of like what relationship has done for us right now is we have a seller of a 37-unit apartment building who has had multiple offers from other people in the past. He wasn't ready to sell. But as soon as we came on the scene, I have a partner of mine who has played golf with him multiple times. Legitimately, they have kids that are the same age. They grew up in the same area. This is like the level of detail we're going to with our relationship. And yes, we ultimately want to buy his apartment building. We're also enjoying a relationship with another investor in the area that understands the market that we want to go into, and we can learn stuff from him as well. And so he's already told us straight up, like he's working with us, right? We're going to figure out how to get, he has a lot of capital gains that he's going to realize. We're going to try to figure out, do we want to do this, some creative financing, seller financing or master lease option or something crazy like that? Or do we want to just find you a 1031 asset to go into and then, a little bit more passive? We've done that through relationship. Everyone else is just noise now. Like they don't even have a chance. And it's going to be us and figuring out what terms will make this deal work. And so, I mean, it took an investment, time investment, resource investment, and energy investment, but it's paid off, right? Because it's going to make us tens of thousands, whatever. I don't even know what the number will be ultimately, but it'll further our generational wealth building activity. So that's the important.
That's so huge. I mean, for everybody that's listening, that's such a huge point. No, thanks for sharing that, Justin.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
You have one? I want to.
Yeah, I had one more. Have you done like split testing from number of unit size, like, kind of broken out like 10 less units, 10 to 20 or 10 to 30, and then over 30? I'm just curious, like what you're looking at, what you're seeing as you're doing this marketing. Does your approach change, as you kind of climb up the unit count? It's like a different caliber investor, operator. I'm curious if, what your perspective is on that.
Yeah. So every time I mention just out and about that I'm in real estate, I buy buildings, I buy apartments, everyone immediately starts talking to me about HDTV fix and flips. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. But the reality is everyone has some sort of affiliation with real estate. Mm-hmm. And usually it's the single family, the smaller stuff, because that everyone knows about houses and fixing and HGTV and stuff like that. Once you start gravitating towards the larger unit counts, the pool of people that understand what's going on decreases, but also, for lack of a better word, the sophistication level also increases as well. And that's why the relationships become more important. Very rarely are they that distressed of assets or even that many mom and pop owners anymore. Those have all kind of been snatched up. So it is very much you're building a relationship with another investor who understands an inherited property or something like that. So it's been poorly managed. So you can just simply do an operational value add. But you're right. I mean, there is definitely a cutoff. I'd say anything 10 units and up starts to change, and then definitely 25 units and up. It's pretty much all investors at that point. So you're just working with them. Maybe they're selling to go trade up to a larger asset. You're trying to trade up from a small multifamily to their property. Or they're at retirement age and they're ready to just pass on their portfolio to whoever wants to buy it. So it is definitely different. And that's why it is important to focus on the relationship. I'm going to say that word like a million times during this interview. And I truly mean it. The relationship is the most important thing. So do take the extra effort to build that, whether that's meet them in person, I don't know, send them a gift, whatever you think, how you would want to be treated and wined and dined. You have to do that with the property owners.
No, that's perfect.
Love it. My screen is really messed up. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. So working with investors is difficult, and I manage a fund, and I'd like to ask this, when you work with investors, they're really trusting you with their money. How do you sleep at night? How do you hedge your bets? I know you mentioned a lot of this stuff. I want to talk about the investor part of it. How do you keep in touch with them? Are they your best friends? Are they asking for the next property? I know they're high net worth individuals typically, but can you share some of that? You mentioned doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, very much so. They are. Most of them are doctors, lawyers, high salaried individuals, small business owners. And at the end of the day, you just have to make sure that you are a good steward of their investment. And what helps to get there is to go ahead and when you underwrite the property up front, before you even consider taking money from someone, make sure the property is good. Make sure it's something that is, pencils out, be conservative, stress test it so that you can sleep better at night because I've done the due diligence up front. Is that, something could definitely happen. You can't predict everything, right? COVID, a lot of people didn't underwrite for a global pandemic, right? But things can happen that change the numbers. But as long as you are consistently communicating with them and you're being honest when things aren't going right? So we just had a property. It's going to blow your mind. Why? We just had where we started the renovation on a unit, and before finishing the renovation, due to a miscommunication on our end, we started taking the professional pictures of the property to be listed on the market of that unit. And so when we got the pictures back, the toilet was missing. There was trash everywhere in this property. And as a result, it's definitely maybe a couple days of postponed, when we should have been live. So as a result, we spent money on pictures that we didn't need to. But that was something that was communicated to the partners. And it's like, yeah, we could have not told them that and just they would have never seen the pictures and wouldn't have mattered. But we're all in this together. It's like mistakes are made, own the mistakes, and just let everyone know that, hey, you're doing the best you can to execute that business plan. And if they see that you're trustworthy, that you did your due diligence up front, the rest is pretty much easy. You're just, you just got to make sure you're doing the best you can to execute that business plan. And if things go sideways, just let everyone know. And usually they're more receptive when they're aware of what's happening versus you try to sweep something under the rug. That's when you go wrong. And you just blew all your trust that you had with someone.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. Trust and transparency goes so far. It really does. It goes so far. And I love that you said that. So I think we're winding up our time together, Justin. So in closing, how can our listeners stay in touch with you, follow you? You post a lot on social media. I myself enjoy watching your content on social media, man. So how can they follow you, get in touch with you, ask you questions, whatnot?
You can follow the Cash Flow Cowboy on Instagram. Is definitely I put a lot of stuff on Instagram, Facebook, sometimes on LinkedIn as well. Probably the more professional posts are on LinkedIn. You know how it is. So at Cashflow Cowboy, Cashflow_Cowboy, maybe. You should be able to find me there. And then our website is under development for a couple tech issues. And now it should be live shortly. So www.cashcre.com. And that is a great, great place. I have free resources there to learn more about real estate investing. And then, if you resonated with what I said, right, transition from W-2 into real estate, maybe you are a doctor, a lawyer, small business owner, or just, another engineer, someone that has capital available, but just not really the time to figure this stuff out. You can go on to my website, cashcre.com, and there's a form there to, we can link up as potential partners in the future, whether that's a co-GP, a JV partner, or that's a limited partner where it's a little bit more passive for you.
Sounds good, man. Well, that's been tremendous. So Justin, once again, thanks so much for your time today. I'm Jeremy Moyer with Real Estate MBA. Tejas Kasai is my partner. Please be sure to tune with us next time. We'll see you guys then. Take care.
Thank you so much.